Hello and welcome to my review of Invisalign. They are invisible aligners for your teeth, basically braces that don't look like those horrible train track braces that you've probably seen in things like Ugly Betty. I mean, everyone's seen someone wearing braces. If you don't like the idea of looking like that, but you want straighter teeth, Invisalign is definitely an option for you. So at this stage, you're probably wondering what I looked like before I had it done, because I'm 2 months now past the completed process, which took just over a year for me. So this is what I looked like before. See? They're fine. They're fine. They're just not in the right place. Yeah, I wasn't very happy. And that brings me to the first question. Should you have it done? Why would you want to have this done? Well, do you find that when someone takes a photograph of you, you keep your mouth closed, you don't want to smile in pictures, or even that you don't smile at people in the street because you don't want them to look at your teeth? Sometimes I would find that when I would introduce myself to someone for the first time, or even to talk to someone that I'd known for ages, I would find they'd be looking at my mouth. Their eyes go like this. They say, "Hey, nice to meet you." You know. I would also get bad comments on my YouTube videos, people saying stuff about my teeth. And although it is just the internet and you shouldn't listen to it, if someone on the internet is saying what you're thinking at the same time, then maybe there's some truth in it. So personally, I'd had enough of that. I'm 34 years old. I haven't had perfect teeth since I was about 8, so I thought I'd get it done. So I did. So how does it work? Well, you get these transparent plastic trays to put on your teeth. You get one for the top and one for the bottom. Each time. Even if you only want the top ones done, they'll probably do your bottom ones as well. They did for me. I wasn't too worried about the bottom, I just wanted the top done. And then every 2 weeks you put in a new one. The idea being that these just fit your teeth. I believe each one can move your teeth 1/3 of a millimetre at most each time. So when you put it in, it presses on your teeth and your teeth move to that new position after 2 or 3 days, and then they stay there. And then you carry on wearing the tray for another 10 days, maybe 11 days, until it's time for the new one. This can vary from person to person. For me, I was doing it for 2 weeks per tray to start with, and then that went down to about 10 days. But I did have somebody in the comments on my diary that I've been keeping saying that their orthodontist recommended that they changed every week. That seems a little quick to me, but expect it to be between 10 and 14 days. So you're probably wondering, does it hurt? You might have heard that Invisalign does hurt a lot. The answer is yes, but only to start with, especially the very, very first tray, because your teeth have gone, like mine have, for say 20 years, 2 decades of being in the position they're perfectly happy with, left to their own devices and looking like Cthulhu, you know. So they're obviously not going to like being moved at all. So when the first tray starts moving them, they're going to protest loudly, and it really does hurt, to the point where you might not be able to chew on any food with your, or at least bite into food, because I couldn't even eat pizza, as this flashback will show. Could not bite into it. I had to cut it up in tiny pieces, put it in my mouth and chew it on the back. I was having to chew just with my molars at the back of my mouth, and even bite with them as well, like that, which it was only lasted for a couple of days, and then after that it was fine. So at the start of each new tray, when your teeth are actually moving to their new position every couple of weeks, then you will find some sensitivity. But after that, you might even forget that you've got the trays in. I certainly did. You get so used to it, it really doesn't hurt all the time, unless you're doing it wrong. And by that I mean, if you keep taking them out all the time, or leave them out for more than an hour when you eat, then your teeth are going to start going back to where they want to go. They'll always try and go back to where they want to go. That's why you have retention at the end, is because your teeth just want to go back to that higgledy-piggledy state. So you've got to keep the aligners in for at least 22 hours a day. And that seems a lot. But the way to do that is to take them out when you eat a meal, and then after 10 minutes after eating, then brush your teeth and clean the trays and put them back in. So they should only be out for 30 to 40 minutes a time. Do that 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and you'll be fine. And you're probably wondering, does that leave me time to snack? Yeah, how do I snack? Well, that's where the Invisalign diet comes in. You probably won't be able to snack. I know that sounds awful, but it's actually great if you want to lose weight. It's known as the Invisalign diet because a lot of people do lose weight. I certainly did. I was trying to lose weight anyway because I was walking 10,000 steps a day to try and lose weight even before I started Invisalign. But come the end of Invisalign, I wasn't even needing to do all that exercise. It's about 6 miles, 8 kilometres, because I was just getting the calories at meal times and then not building up more calories with biscuits and things. So although it's really sad when someone says, do you want a biscuit? And you have to say no or yes, but then have to take out the trays, and then you've got sugar on your teeth, so you have to clean them. You end up just not doing it and just eating at meal times. This does make you appreciate your meals a lot more. You'll look forward to meals because you'll actually get to eat. I know that sounds really sad, but that is the reality of it, and it is something to bear in mind if you like to graze, if you like to, pick at little snacks and things, then it's something you're going to have to keep in mind because you won't be able to do it, not for about a year, maybe 2. So the next question, is it actually invisible? Well, yes, but there's a caveat to that, and that is the first 2 trays don't have any attachments on them. So they are just clear plastic that you put on your teeth. But then after the first 2 trays, you'll probably find your orthodontist has you back in, and then he'll put little pyramids of white material, which is a bit like enamel. It looks like your teeth, basically. It's like extra bits of teeth. He'll stick to a couple of teeth. It depends if you're having major work done. If you'd had a couple of teeth extracted to make room, I did have the option to have extractions. It was my first premolars there and there, just past the canines. If I'd had those taken out, then the process would have been twice as long. It would have been 2 years, but I would have had to have had these little attachments put on pretty much every tooth. The attachments are there so that the plastic can grip your teeth, because they found in the original trials, apparently, that some people's teeth would be so stubborn that the plastic would move with each tray, but the teeth wouldn't, so the plastic would just slide across. So if they put these little chunks of enamel on, it gives it something to grip hold of, and then it all works properly. That's the idea. But these attachments don't look so great, and if you've got one on every tooth at the front, people are going to notice that you have Invisalign, and at that point, is there any point paying that extra money? You might as well just have the train tracks, and it'd be cheaper, and it'd be done just as quick, probably. So that's also something to keep in mind. If your orthodontist thinks you won't need many attachments, I only had one that was visible here. In fact, let's have a little flashback to the ones that I did have. You can see them here. There. You see it? And there's one further back. Also on this side, there's one. Yeah. And down there, there's one. And there. I only had a few, and they weren't really visible at all. People didn't even notice I had them in. Even when I said, I'm having my teeth straightened, they said, so when do you start? Even when I went up to them really close and said, look, one person couldn't even see it then. They really are very, very clear. But they're only clear if you don't drink coloured liquids because they stain. I know it's sad. You're probably thinking, can I have beer? Can I have wine? What can I drink? Can I drink tea? The answer is you can have beer, you can have wine. They'll probably stain the trays as long as you take them out and brush the insides with a toothbrush very vigorously when you get home. And do that 3 times a day, basically. Keep them as clean as possible. Although you'll notice some discoloration, it won't be enough that people will notice that your teeth look a different colour. But if you keep drinking dark liquids, then they will, and people might then think, oh, your teeth don't look very good, because it's not your teeth at all, it's the trays. But hot drinks is another matter altogether. You cannot drink hot drinks when you've got these things in. What you have to do is take your trays out. Some people say, oh, but can I drink with a straw? Well, you could, but basically the straw is just making the hot liquid go to the back of your mouth, and that's still going to get to the back of the aligners, and the hot liquid could melt them. Even if it doesn't melt them completely, I mean, they're not going to melt completely off your teeth, but it will compromise the integrity of the structure. And since everything hinges on the structure being rigid so that your teeth can move to it, if the structure were to change because you drunk something wrong, then that's your fault, and then it's not going to work, and then it just causes loads of problems. So yes, you can drink coffee and tea, but take them out, and take them out as briefly as possible. Get them back in as soon as possible. If you have to do that, then go home and brush your teeth, then do that. But keep them in as much as you can. And if that means less coffee, might be better for you anyway. Just saying. Another question that people seem to ask a lot is, can I kiss someone with these in? Yes, you can. It doesn't make any difference at all. And if, like me, your teeth were sticking out so much that you were bumping a girl when you kissed her, then that won't happen anymore when your teeth are straight. So actually it's all better all around. So that's really good. The other big question that people seem to ask is about the retention stage. And that is, what happens after you finish the treatment? Do you have to wear the nighttime retainer, which is like one of these, but it's not 3D printed. They just take a mold of your teeth. Here's mine. It got chipped a bit in the process afterwards. But so they make a mold to your teeth the day that you finish, and then they give you a nighttime retainer made of plastic that's based on that. And the idea is, when you put that in at nighttime, your teeth are forced to go back to what they look like the day you finish your treatment. And because your teeth want to move, and they really do want to move, you have to do that every night. I've heard stories of people who didn't use their nighttime retainer for 2 nights, and then they couldn't get it on anymore because their teeth had moved so much. It hurt too much. So if you want your teeth to stay looking as good as they do, you really have to wear the nighttime retainer every night for years, perhaps even the rest of your life. As long as I want to have straight teeth, I have to wear the nighttime retainers every night, forever. It's something you have to keep in mind. Personally, because my mouth was already so crowded, well, let me just explain one thing about that. I had 2 options, because at the start they give you a computer display, a simulation of exactly what your teeth will look like through the whole process. You can look at whichever week you want. And I was given 2 options. One, which would completely make my teeth fit beautifully, but I would need 2 teeth taken out to make the room. That would take 2 years. And the other option was 1 year, where I got to keep all my teeth, so no extractions, and that would only take 1 year, but I was left with a slight overbite, and that's where my top teeth jut out slightly over my bottom ones when I put my back teeth together like this. I don't notice it. I'm perfectly happy with it. But because my mouth is crowded, I also have to have bars to keep them in check. You can see here on the back of my top teeth, there's a bar there. There's also one on the bottom. I can't really feel it. To start with, I thought it was going to be awful, but once you're so used to having these things in your mouth, having bars on your teeth is no problem at all. So I'm really happy with that. So between the bars and the nighttime retainers, my teeth should look this good forever. So you've probably noticed that I haven't mentioned how much it cost. Well, that's because it's different for everyone. It depends what you need doing, how long it's going to take. And because it's different for everyone, it wouldn't be fair for me to give you my price, then you go and tell your orthodontist expecting the same, and then he says, oh, it's going to cost another 1,000, because it does cost a lot of money. I believe the cheapest that you can get it is a couple of £1,000, probably about $3,000. I mean, you'd have to look into it. The most it's going to be is probably around £5,000. So I guess $5,000 or $6,000, because the exchange rate is not very favourable at the moment. So they're pretty much the same. Yes, that is an awful lot of money. Do I think it was worth it personally? Absolutely yes. It's one of the best things I've ever done, and I wish I'd done it earlier. I really, really do. So if you have the means and you want to get your teeth straightened, I say go for it. I really, really recommend it. Look at my teeth and compare that to what they used to look like. Really nice, look at that. Yeah. All right, bye-bye everybody. Bye-bye. I'm a completely different person. I feel so much more confident. I'm so happy I did it. So, seeing as this is a review, I should give it a score. What would I score Invisalign? Out of 100, I'd probably say 95. The only reasons for that being they're quite sharp. The edges of the trays can be sharp. It's something, I guess, to do with the 3D printing method that they use. But sometimes it catches on your tongue. If you have a flashback to my first tray, I had a really sharp first tray and it cut my tongue something horrible. So look at this. Well, the problem is there's a sharp bit down there and it's cut my tongue. I don't know if you can see it. That's no fun at all. I had about 5 or 6 trays that were like that. Never that bad again, fortunately, because that was awful. But enough that I had to take an emery board to it. You can take an emery board, you know, those little nail file things, to the edges. Once you feel a sharp bit, do it as soon as possible. Just file the edge and it'll be much better, more comfortable, then it probably won't cause a sore. But it's something to keep in mind. And honestly, in today's amazing world, I think people should be able to 3D print these without sharp edges. They should be able to deliver something that doesn't have sharp edges. But honestly, apart from the slight annoyance of not being able to eat when people offer you something, it's amazing how many times someone does offer you food and you have to say no. Apart from that, honestly, the process is absolutely fine as long as you keep them in your mouth for at least 22 hours a day and brush your teeth 3 times a day, then you're going to be fine. And the time flies by. It definitely speeds up. It starts off quite slow, then it gets faster and faster, and then just at the point where it's just completely normal and you don't even think about it, then you're done and you've got lovely teeth. Oh, there is one more negative point actually which I should mention, and that's gum recession. I've experienced just a little bit of gum recession, above this tooth especially. Just there, you see that? The gum's a lot higher and you can see a bit of the root. It is not too bad, but it definitely did get worse. It was a little bit there already before I started the treatment, but it definitely got a little worse as treatment went on. And now come the end as well, it's just starting to get a little bit of this one. And maybe there. So it's just something you have to keep an eye on. Talk to your dentist about it, or your orthodontist, of course. I think I also have a bit by one of the molars down here, right at the back. It's something which I suppose is always going to happen because your teeth are being moved and your gums have got to move to meet those teeth. So, those 2 teeth at the front, you saw how bad they were. They've moved a heck of a lot. So I'm surprised that the gum followed them down as much as it did. It's quite amazing, really. But it is just something that you should keep in mind. And if you already have a problem with gum recession, talk to your orthodontist about it and let him know. He'll probably see it anyway. But it's something that you need to be aware of. So yeah, 95 out of 100. If I had to do 5 stars, I'd give it 5 stars. Just straight 5 stars. It's something that you really should do if you need to. If you've got any more questions, I have probably answered them already in my Invisalign diary. I've made 18 videos documenting every stage right from the first day I got my first tray right up until the retention stage a few weeks back. So all the questions are there. There's a video on how to take the trays out without hurting your mouth, because that's a difficult thing to do. There's what happens if you've got a cold, what it's like to sing. There's a video there for everything you can probably think of. And if you still have another question that I haven't answered, you can ask me in the comments on any of my videos and I'll try and answer it as soon as possible. So thanks very much for watching and good luck. Take care.